Hello, hello, welcome back. I'm Valeria Lipovetsky, and you're listening to Not Alone. Today, I want to dive into a topic that I touched briefly on during an outfit of the day. I have to say, my outfit of the day videos are always the initiation stage of my conversations on the podcast. I just walk into my closet and I let myself listen to my thoughts and pick on something that I want to explore further. I'll share it a little bit while I get dressed, and then I write it in a notepad, and I'm like, I'm going to go back to that. So today, this is what I'm going back to. And the topic that I touched on was connecting and redefining my feminine. I want to take you to a journey with me because I've been on this journey, I would say, since maybe 2 years ago that I started exploring this whole understanding of feminine, masculine. And I do think that there are a lot of conversations around it today. But as I progress into this topic and dive deeper and connect to it from a really authentic, deep place, I understand how much of surface level understanding we have about the feminine. Now, let me start by saying how years ago, to me, when I thought about a feminine and masculine, I literally thought about traits in a person, right? A feminine, it's someone who dressed in, pretty dresses and she's very soft and gentle. Masculine is someone very, like a man and someone that takes kind of ownership and leads the way, a leader. That's how I used to look at feminine and masculine. Then, as I got deeper into it, I realized that all of us possess both feminine and masculine. I know that it's a bit confusing because people connect the feminine and masculine to genders, but it has nothing to do with it, right? You can also refer to it as the yin and yang, as, black and white. It doesn't matter. All of us have both aspects within us, and it is truly an art to balance both because it does show up for us in different capacities at different times throughout our lives, right? So even an example, motherhood is a very masculine energy, right? Because you are protecting, you are doing, you are pushing forward. It's a very masculine energy where I feel like a lot of people would look at motherhood as more of like a feminine. So you really have to understand the full concept to understand how both works. But I'm not diving into that today. Today, I'm specifically diving into the feminine because something that's been going on with me in specifically the last 6 months is me grappling with this disconnect that I have with my feminine side. And I couldn't really place a finger on what is it that feels like it's not quite there, because on the outside, if I'm looking at how I live my life and, the dynamic in my relationship, I have a lot of space to bring in my feminine energy. I have a husband that is very much in his masculine. So he creates a very safe space for me to tap into my feminine. But I've noticed that feminine depends on external factors, on the environment, on my husband, creating that space, on if I am, if work is demanding or not. So there's a lot of external factors to that feminine. And where I've started going in is into how I relate to that feminine, how it occurs within me, not based on what my environment is signaling me to do. You know what I mean? Or move or behave. Coming at you with today's sponsor, K12. I'm sure a lot of parents share the sentiment of wanting to empower our kids to learn in a way that's best for them. There were so many occasions throughout the years where I remember the boys coming home and feeling frustrated because they couldn't retain certain information that was given to them at school. That specifically was in a form of a book. So I had to get creative as a parent and try to find a different modality to share the information in a way that they actually can understand it, which I found through videos, but that's also when I learned about K12. K-12 powered schools are tuition-free, online accredited public schools from kindergarten to 12th grade designed to help your child learn at their own pace, in their own place, and has engaging curriculum that supports individual learning styles. This is different from homeschooling, where you are responsible for teaching them. K-12 powered schools, state certified teachers are trained online educators. They utilize hands-on innovative technology to make learning interactive. They also offer social opportunities, extracurricular activities, and in-person events. K-12 has more than 20 years experience helping students gain the skills they truly need to thrive in the future, and it could be perfect for your child too. Join the more than 2 million families who have been served by K-12 and empower your student to reach their full potential now. Go to k12.com/Valeria today to learn more and find tuition-free K-12 powered school near you. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/Valeria. K12.com/Valeria. So there's this big aha moment that I've had, that I've realized that I'm leading with a prescribed femininity versus my own feminine creation. Because again, it's layers and layers and layers of an understanding of kind of like the heart of what it is. So I realized that I've been truly moving and chasing ways to connect to my femininity, but in a very cookie cutter way. And something within me just kept yearning for more. And that's where I'm at that more stage, at now realizing that I have to redefine what femininity means to me and what being feminine means to me, because I do feel like I have this untapped power that's sitting and waiting to be explored and kind of freed. I know it sounds crazy, but if any woman that is on this journey will understand what I'm talking about. It's hard to pinpoint and articulate, but it's more of a feeling. Because women rarely access their feminine, truly, like their true feminine. They rarely access it, and they usually just access the prescribed, idea that society put on us. And I started reaching towards different books and different sources and information that will give me a way to understand the feminine in a different way. So I picked up this one book. It's called The Wild Feminine by Tammy Lynn Kent. And it absolutely blew my mind. Now, this is you have to kind of get to a point where you can digest that book, because the book truly talks about the pelvic area as being the source, the root of the feminine power. So, there's a lot of practitioners out there. No, I don't want to say a lot, because I wish there was more. I've been trying to find some in Miami, but there are pelvic floor practitioners that are trained to release and to find imbalances in that area, both physically, but mainly energetically, because that area holds a lot of things for women. And now that I've gone through the book, I'm almost done with the book, I now understand why the statistics of health problems for women is so much higher than for men. Because women, we tend to internalize, we tend to hold. We don't have never been taught to release and how to release it, because when we release, we are looked at as irrational, emotional, and that is so vital to a woman's health. So reading that book, and I highly recommend for anyone that is open to that kind of information to pick up that book. I'm listening to it as an audiobook. I've realized that there is so much work to do for us women to learn how to go back to the old ways of rituals, of community, of finding ways to tap into the root of our being, of our feminine being, and to take care of it. And that way we'll be able to find those imbalances. So the book truly opened my eyes in such away about my own feminine, about how certain traumas and certain experiences in my life are still held in my body. Moving on to one of our sponsors this week, let me tell you about a brand that I came across, Floatly. Floatly is a bra brand that is dedicated to designing feel-good basics that are beyond comfortable. Their bra specifically, their cozy, adjustable bra, takes comfort to a whole other level. Who knew a bra could be this comfortable? The fabric, it's buttery soft, smooth, and stretchy, and feels light and cozy against your skin. The bra is seamless, so there's no irritation, and they also have adjustable straps and back closure for customizable fit. There's no digging into your skin, there's no gapping around the cup, so it's an all-around great fit that you would look for in an easy, everyday go-to bra. What's great about it is that it can be styled with almost anything. All the edges of the bra are free cut, which means that they lay extra flat against your body, so the bra disappears under your clothes. The Floatly Cozy Adjustable comes in sizes extra small through double extra large, so if you want to check them out, I've got a deal for you. Use the code Valeria20 to get 20% off special offer on floatly.com. That's Floatly, Floatley, floatly.com, Valeria20 for 20% off. Being a woman is such a physical thing. I can't even explain it. It's obviously very taxing emotionally, but physically it's very taxing. And we never look at it in that way, in the way of taxing energetically and emotionally, and then it manifests itself physically. So exploring that topic more and more made me realize how little I know about my own existence in the world as a woman, and made me realize that I am at this really interesting pivotal point in my life that maybe will last, I would say. I love how my Virgo brain want to give you like a range of numbers, but I would say that it will take me at least 5 years to find my footing and really connect to like a less cookie cutter approach to being a woman and more of a me approach to being a woman. And I want to share something very interesting with you. In one of the chapters in the book, she has these exercises throughout the book where she tells you how to either meditate or, release energy on your pelvic bowl and all the things. But in one of them, there was an exercise of trying to understand what a woman and what feminine means to you. And we don't often stop and look at the definitions and the beliefs that we have about ourselves and examining it truly, especially not in the area of like, what is a woman to me and what is feminine to me. So I sat down and I wrote a few things. Under a woman, these are the things that came up for me: creator, caregiver, multifaceted, misunderstood, alone, stretched thin, carries a lot on her shoulders, constricted. On the feminine, wild, powerful, free, creative, at ease, intuitive. And I've realized how much those two look really different, right? When they're supposed to be more of one. And when I looked at the words that I wrote under woman, I've realized that these are the things that I've observed around me growing up. These are the definitions that I've picked up and the things that I carry as a woman in the world, because that's what I believe woman represents. And that's kind of sad if you ask me, right? Like there's something that feels powerless about these words. Not all of them, but some of them. And then when I looked at the feminine and what it means to me and how I think about it, I see so much power, so much self-agency, so much understanding of the self to a point where the world can't budge you on your own definition of self. Do you know what I mean? Society, the surrounding, And that to me feels absolutely amazing. So I want to find now a way and be on a mission to bring them together. I want woman and feminine to be one for me, because being a woman is truly one of the most amazing things. And I'm so thankful that God made me a woman on this earth. I want to share with you this experience that I've had, because ever since I started venturing into these definitions and understandings, I also started experimenting with different modalities, going and trying different things, because mentally and physically, I feel like that in order for me to reach the point that I want to reach, it has to be less of a cerebral experience and more of a physical experience. I am such a Virgo, it's actually scary. I have tendency to intellectualize everything and to dissect everything to such level that there's nothing left. So sometimes I kind of find myself being like a dog chasing its tail. And in this specific thing, as I started expanding more on this whole idea, I've realized that I won't be able to unlock anything that I already don't know through my brain. I have to feel it with my body. And I've started having so many confirmations and validations from the universe and people that I meet and the conversations that I'm having around me that continues to validate this knowing that it has to be physical, that I started looking into it. So one of those experiences that validated it, I went to have my astrology chart read. Now, let me tell you that I am not a big astrology person. I think that sometimes it's a bit far-fetched where we're all sitting. I mean, we do it with everything where we just simplify these concepts and make them more trendy and marketable, and then it just gives us like a surface level of a topic and understanding of the concept. The same thing I feel happening with astrology, right? But for me, the way I looked at astrology, I'm like, people really use it as an excuse. And it is also something that's used for like comedic relief, honestly, because I always mention that I'm a Virgo as a convenient way to excuse myself from like taking responsibility on being really rigid and really annoying. And I'm sure that a lot of other people do it. The same thing with relationship. I find it hilarious when people are like, oh, you're this sign? We're not a match. But back to what I was trying to tell you, I went to get my astrology chart read, and it was so fascinating to see just the order of like the planets and where I'm at and how my journey through life really aligned with my chart. It really touched a deep place in my heart. You have to be in a place where you want to explore it further. So I'm not really pushing anybody to do it, but it just gave me a better understanding and validation that I need to move now more with my body and my heart than with my mind. I've learned a lot about myself. There is no future predictions or anything like that. It's all really just a clarity on where you stand and what are the challenges that you're facing. And honestly, it hit perfectly on all the points that I've been feeling lately. And one of the things that I've been feeling and then that meeting validated was that I need to tap into learning how to let myself enjoy, let myself have pleasure, let pleasure into my life, because that is not my natural tendency. My tendency is suffering, and I'm saying it in the most like positive way. I'm not scared of suffering. I look at suffering as a journey that brings meaning and understanding of myself and the experiences of my life. But what's scary is that I feel comfortable in like the suffering, and I don't feel comfortable in the ease and the joy and the pleasure and the indulgence. And it hit me when I started looking into why do I feel like my feminine is getting blocked. So obviously that transpired into the whole journey of questioning, why do I feel like I need to suffer? Why do I feel like I need to earn pleasure? Why can't I indulge in life because life is constantly giving me things to enjoy. And yet I keep myself so tight about, enjoying them. That's one of the things that are really important for your feminine core, to give yourself the permission to feel, and to experience and to surrender to an experience, whether it's good or bad. For me, my issue is surrendering to the good. And I find, because it's so hard for me to lean into that indulgence and pleasure, is it's exactly what I need to do in order to get on this path of awakening my feminine and the wild, and let that lead me in life and creativity and relationship and raising my kids. Of course, it's not all about just like enjoy life. This is not a Marie Antoinette kind of situation, but we all have different habits. And based on my habits and based on my psychology and how I move in the world, I need to lean into the opposite of what I usually do. So part of my journey with the feminine is to learn how to enjoy it. I was talking to one of my closest friend, Alex, and we are talking about how it is for her to raise a daughter. Because I don't think I've ever admitted it, but I was extremely scared of having a girl. I know that a lot of people to this day, obviously on social media, or if people meet me and hear that I have 3 boys, they're like, so are you going to have a girl? It still kind of gives me a bit of like an anxious feeling in my stomach, because I didn't believe I'll be able to handle one. I didn't believe I'll be able to raise one in a way that doesn't carry all these limiting definitions that I grew up with. So it's interesting how, when we say God gives you exactly what you need, it's interesting how I got boys, because it's not that it took me away from facing the things that I need to work on, which obviously they're coming up, but they're coming from a different direction. But when I was talking to Alex, I was saying, you have a girl. Like, I can't imagine how emotionally exhausting it is to not only unravel your own femininity and your own definition of what it means to be a woman, but also model that to your little girl. And even that question shows you how I have all these fears attached to being a woman in the world. And I think most of us do, right? Even when, I don't know, I just remember when I told family that we're having boys, they're like, oh, okay, thank God. There's something about being a girl in the world that still feels so powerless and so dangerous. So when I watch my girlfriends, Mary, my best friend, and Alex, when I watch them raise their girls, it's healing a part of me that I didn't even know needed healing. And then through that, I'm able to realize how to work on my healthy feminine, to model that to my boys, because they need to see it in order to identify it in the future, in order even for them to connect to their own feminine, to the feeling of life, to enjoying the pleasures, and to not be scared of attending to both sides of the spectrum, the feminine and the masculine. The questions that I think about and ask myself these days are so different than what I used to ask myself months ago or a year ago, where it was more on how can I be more efficient? How can I be a better leader? How can I be all these things? And now the questions that come up for me is, how do I currently experience the feminine? How do I nourish my creative center, which is the source, which is where my femininity is? I truly look at life different. I'm trying to consume life in a different way. And I think that that's the next wave of feminism. which is really interesting to witness because it's already happening. The next wave of feminism is where women integrate their feminine into every aspect of their personal and professional lives. Up until now, we've been functioning like men and very much activating our masculine energy in order to progress and to build all the things we wanted to build in life, if it's on a personal level, professional level. And it made us sick, it made us exhausted, it made us depleted. And I think we're all done with that. It is time for a shift. It is time to teach our daughters and our sisters and our mothers a different way of living, a different way of connecting, a way that doesn't require you to abandon yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing. Actually, when I think about a woman, I think about self-abandoning, because when I wrote under woman, the idea of alone and carries a lot on her shoulders and constricted, if you look at all those three words, it really goes under self-abandonment. And a lot of women, it's no surprise that a lot of women around me are going through this similar process as I'm going through, which is finding your way back to yourself and tapping into depths and areas that you never tapped into. I've never experienced life with that force yet. I have gotten this far with what I've been doing until now. And in order for me to get to the next level of truly seizing life and its abundance, I have to connect to that part of me. And that doesn't look any certain way. It doesn't look like me being softer. It doesn't look me wearing more, dresses or painting my nails. It looks raw. It looks wild. It looks unapologetic. It looks self-preserving. It looks like someone that is able to release and someone that honors herself and her beautiful and ugly. And that's what I'm after. And it's so interesting to see how it's slowly seeping through into the smallest moments for me. Like I am right before my menstrual cycle. And we still live at a time where we look at our periods and menstrual cycles as such a load to carry. And what I've realized after understanding more about the core of healthy feminine is because we need that release so much, I am now yearning for those moments of release. Period is a way for the body to release. Like I'm looking at it now as this like holy, sacred thing that my body does for me. And my mind is blown. I can't believe that this is how we're made and how we're built. And I'm starting to even shift the way I speak about it. Like you can hear, I don't know if you've ever heard a woman honoring and celebrating her menstrual cycle or her period. I am here for all of those rewiring and redefinitions that are happening currently in my brain. And I hope that I'll be able to model that to my community through the podcast, through all these different platforms that I have, and start looking at the celebration of being a woman from a holy place. Because I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. God damn it. I don't know if everyone goes through it at this age, but it's just, I woke up one day and I'm just like, wow, I need to learn more about this. I need to connect to my ancestral lineage. I need to understand what needs to be released. I need to tend to it. I'm done with the rushing. I'm done with the stressing. I'm done with the cookie cutter approach to it all. There is this huge space that is waiting for me to claim it. And that's what I'm after. It's very exciting. My journey now to find that root of feminine is to go back to the child in me and release the emotion and suppressed emotions that I've been holding on and carrying with me. Although I don't feel like I'm carrying anything, but I know I am. You know, when you know, your body knows. I have to release that and forgive and grieve and then go up the ladder in order to reach that place that I want to reach to. So we're kind of going back to the beginning, but I'm excited for her, for me. And another thing that I've heard that blew my mind, actually, again, one of those pieces of content that I was like, aha, makes sense, is it just came up to me right now. I saw it on Instagram where this woman, I need to find her, but this woman was saying how therapy is good for women, but it is not the be all and all for women because we are physical beings and a lot of therapy is all cerebral, which brings me back to the point that I was saying, right? We're very good with our brains, but we're not good with our bodies. And there is, throughout the years, we've separated more and more from our bodies. So it is so important for women, for us to bring back rituals, to bring back ways of releasing, connecting, and honoring who we are and what we are, and honoring our past, present, and future. That made so much sense to me. I honestly feel like if we can go back to the times where we didn't rely on doctors to tell us what's going on with our bodies, and to all these other external things that we use now today in the modern society in order to make us understand what we're going through. If we can go back to that natural body, mind, spirit connection, that elevated state, especially for women, because we're all witches. I don't care what you say, we're witches, okay? The type of intuition and the type of like signals and understanding of the world and experiences that you have when you are like connected is out of this world, okay? Men, I don't think men have those capabilities. At least I've never heard of them, but this is insane. So if we can go back to those times and to create that space within our community, within a group circle, with ourselves, we're going to heal a lot of things. We're going to heal a lot of the issues that women are dealing with today. If it's cysts, if it's all these hormonal imbalances, these are things that should be attended to, not only in that surface level way, but in a deeper, more connected way. So that's just my prediction. But cheers to us, to find our way back to ourselves and to never self-abandon again. My action items for the next, I would say 6 months to a year, is to, number one, prioritize pleasure. And that's in all forms. If it's enjoying my time with friends or with what I'm doing, be present with what I'm doing, play more with the kids, with my friends, with my husband, venture into more creative things. So trying new things, really going back to like a childlike energy, moving slower, which I feel like we all talk about, but I'm doing it while not feeling guilty about it. Now that's where it's at. And contemplation. Contemplation, because I want to make sure that as I go through the process, I take inventory of what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling in order to recognize the signals my body is giving me. What is a red light and what is a green light? What is something that's working and something that's not working? What do I need to ask for and what do I need to do less of or more of? All of this is here. and I just need to give it the space to be heard. And definitely less exposure to like tune out the world. And that's going to be a hard one because that's literally what I do for a living, just listening to the world, but tune it out and kind of create a little bubble. And pray for Gary for not like being scared for my well-being while I go through this, because this is a journey for myself. I will let him know a little bit about what's going on, but it's really just like a me, myself, and I type of journey. So pray for Gary. At the end of it, it's going to have a whole new version of Valeria. I knew that when I'm going to sit down and have this conversation, that it's going to feel maybe a little difficult to articulate what it is that I'm feeling, but I'll be really curious to hear if you ever felt that way, if you felt that there is this out of reach kind of existence for you that is just right there, but something there needs to be a breakthrough of some kind, you know? If you do, then maybe this will resonate. If you don't, you'll be like, she's crazy. She lost her mind. What is she talking about? But there's going to come a day and you'll be like, oh my God, I get it. That's what Valeria is talking about. Because I have to tell you, I see women going through it in different periods. And I can't wait when my mom comes back into town to sit down with her and talk to her about it, because she's someone that's been moving as a woman in the world, completely not in her feminine. And I don't know if she ever actually gave herself the permission or the space to connect to it. But I wonder at what point did she started having these feelings? Because I feel that she's starting to have them now. I feel that she's starting to create space to feel and let all these things rise up, all these questions. And she's 53, 54. So there's obviously different times in life when that happens. And, today I'm after this, trying to understand, the root of that. But maybe when I'm 40 or 50, it's going to be after something else. I know I've accepted the fact that I'm always going to be on a quest. That's just why I'm here. I'm here to constantly wonder and ask questions. And now I just want to bring the feeling into it, to let my body ask questions, let my body also be part of that quest. Because up until now, it was all here. So I'm going to continue sharing this journey with you, the literature that made me expand and learn some new things. Definitely going to share it with you on my Instagram, on here, of course. And maybe I'll even do one episode where I'm reading the things that touched me from the books and kind of expanding on them, because it is a spiritual journey as well. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences and feelings around this. You know where to find me. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't miss my newest episode right here. And if you're listening to the podcast on Apple or Spotify, please go and leave a review with your biggest takeaway. I love reading your thoughts. And if you have any suggestions for guests or topics, you can leave them in the comment section. And always, always remember, you are not alone.